Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to some of you, and peace out to the rest of you. Hit the share button because the message is more important than the messenger. Listen closely, my people. Let me state this right quick to help you out. Number one, I have heard about what Karrine Steffans said. And I didn't talk much about it now because I've just been so busy, so swamped. And Senor Kanga, I tried to go into my email again and got interrupted right after I finished typing that. Again, the last one I typed, I got interrupted right afterwards. We got to mark, I got to mark 75 exams. I got 50 left. Uh, 74, but I got 50 left. Actually, wait. Yeah, 49 left. So I'm simply not, I'll never catch up because people won't quit coming to my office when I'm trying to do stuff. They just will not quit. So, and I don't have any other place to do my work but my office. That's the part that really sucks. And then I got to supervise some exams tomorrow. So the BS never stops. So, anyway, with that being said, I'll tell you guys this. What Karrine Steffans said is a part of the war. I count even their attempts at deception as an act of war. I don't care if it's the traditional woman that is deceptive or the Western woman. No matter which one is deceptive, I count it as an act of war. Because deception for what? When a man deceives his wife, it's more likely, I'm talking if you just went by numbers, it's more likely that he would deceive her into catching the train or plane that they need to catch on time, or deceive her into showing up early at whatever transport station or airport they need to touch. That is more likely how a man will deceive the woman that he loves, because she's not going to be punctual and she's not going to be simple. You know how it is with women. They make you wait just to do it. Innocent women will do that. When women deceive men, they're not doing it for that purpose. Women don't deceive men into uh, being better or being more self disciplined. No, they just deceive men into doing more of what it is that they want us to do and that we don't want to do, not just on our own. Even if the deception is not necessary and they could simply just ask for a particular thing that they would like, they still have to resort to deception because it's funny to them. I sit up and I tell you guys multiple times, and I try to tell you guys, in reality, gentlemen, what Karrine Steffans said was something that a lot of women that never do what she has done will still do. And that is that they tell you to do things that they can never respect the men who do. So when she tells you to marry an SLU plus, know that an SLU plus knows that she is that. The garden tool knows she's the garden tool. She's aware of that. She knows the kind of commitment that she warrants and does not warrant. And the man that will provide to her that which she does not deserve is the man she will lose respect for. So she tells men in general to do exactly that, for which she will lose respect anyway. Karrine Steffans is not alone in that regard. She's just the most blatant. She tried to sell men on, you know what, if you marry one of us, you wake up to being topped off. If she was really honest, she would have told you and me on that microphone that if you marry one of them, you will be the only guy whose thing she never tops off. Unless it's to manipulate. And that manipulation has to be something about which she can brag to her hyena bitch friends. Otherwise, she wouldn't do that. She doesn't even want you to hit that. She don't want you to really have nothing to do with it. Wasn't Karrine married? And didn't she badmouth the man that did marry her? They hate you when you do these things. And I want you to remember that. But the war is partially because deception is oppression. And they're always trying to engage in deception of men. Always. And they lie to you about what they want you to do, and they lie to you about that for which they will respect you. And you have to ask yourself, if women are disgusted, then why do they lie to men to deceive the men into becoming those that disgust them? That's because they're not going to respect you anyway. They are looking to deceive you into being the man they can't respect. So that means they already are bent on not respecting you, but actually bent on disrespecting you. There is nothing to salvage. As long as this is a part of any culture, ours or anyone else's, there are no more relationships between the genders to salvage. When the white bitch does this to her man, there's nothing for them to salvage, but that's their problem. When a sister does this to us, there's nothing left to salvage. So keep that in mind, gentlemen, about Karrine Steffans and about actually how very typical she is in terms of what's really inside her. She just managed to do more and still get a husband afterwards, and she could not even stay with the man that committed to her. Now, she tells you not to marry the virgin. Well, the ultimate validation of a man by women is what she will do with and for him that she would not do for other men. Now, that's not the ultimate validation of a man and proof of his manhood, because most women will not do much for most men. But the ultimate validation by women is that. It's the same in reverse, except we measure them differently. But let me tell you this too, though. I'm also going to talk a bit about Roda Osman for a particular reason. This is days old. She's been convicted. She got 90 days, and then she's got probation, and she violates She goes to prison for 10 years. And I think that they should have gone ahead and thrown her in prison. She cannot make the money back that she has to pay. She cannot do so. But I'm going to tell you guys also that Rhoda did not do what she did based on nationality. Attorney Sperling wants us to think that gender warring has a lot to do with nationality, but within our race, it actually doesn't have that much to do with it. There are nationalities that are not involved. There are nationalities in which certain cultural groups are involved and others are not. And then there are nationalities that are involved, but you can't really pin the gender war on a few or on just one region of black people. You can't. There are groups of black folks that are just harsh to their men. This is a problem that runs through swaths of our race. Cultural groups that do not know each other or do not come in contact with each other very much tend to share this. It's like there are women in our race that have managed to influence certain cultures to just look for things to be wrong with certain men and then punish us. And so, with that being said, I'm going to tell you guys that Roda Osman did what she did based more on race than her nationality. The problem we have right now is that black women, and she's not typical for her people. She was not. She does not spend much of her time around her own people. Most don't know who she is. Ask me how I know. But when you take black women in general outside of a cultural context in which that sort of Jezebel spirit is discouraged, then they start thinking the same thing. What is the worst behavior that my looks will afford me to get away with? Now, I'm not saying that sisters always assess that correctly, but that is the question they're asking themselves. And they are desperate to behave as worse as they can. They're desperate to behave as piss poorly as they can possibly get away with doing. And they're going to push the boundary because they're always desperate to behave even worse than previously. They're always fighting a temptation to deteriorate their morality and their character. They don't want to look better so that they could be more pleasing to a husband. It's just ego and vanity. And part of that is so that they can behave evilly. That's all. This is not something that is just an FBA thing, or as Attorney Sperling seems to think, that always starts with non-FBAs and makes its way in. It's neither one. Neither one. Neither one. When you start looking at Kenya, the islands, Angola, South Africa, Nigeria, Uganda. When you start looking at these places, you're going to notice something. The United States, even Colombia, brothers have said this. You're going to notice that the sistren that live in these areas are hard on brothers and they're easy on Mzungu. That tells you a lot. The difference between Rhoda and these other women is that Rhoda tried this GoFundMe stuff twice, blamed brothers, but still was willing to slap a white dude on TV. Then walk off and just start twerking for the camera. She is the poster child of what the hell is wrong. But understand, she's not really much worse than others. See, Roda Osman actually is just the one that got busted because she was willing to go on GoFundMe and her video went viral. That's what's different about her. FBA technically as a nationality had nothing to do with this. As a race we did, but as a nationality had nothing to do with this. And she was willing to blame black men, just some random brothers. So she had to drag us into this nothing ass event in which she never got hit with a brick and attacked the guy first. Now, why does she attack him? Look at her. She doesn't have to be that cute. She just figured that she was better looking than most West African women, and therefore she can hit guys. Because one thing about not only sisters, but sisters included, but especially sisters, unfortunately, is that they are looking to be violent towards men when they can get away with it. And the better looking they are, the more violent towards men they'll be. Or the better looking they've been told they are. So, Rhoda actually did what a few sisters have done when they're the exotic on the block. Or even if they're thick. She actually is quite typical for several nationalities. And when I look back over the history, I come to realize this. There is a problem that runs through our race, and that problem is this. When a woman looks good, or even nowadays, even when they don't look good. It used to be based on how good they look, they chose bad behaviors. Now it's just based on how bad they don't look, they choose bad behaviors. But this is a problem with sistren. Various nationalities. Somali women in Somalia can be spirited and a little bit aggressive. Can be. But Somali women that grow up in the West and then get away from religious constraints will act a goddamn fool just like their men will. And when they do, and keep this in mind, when they do this, when they start acting a goddamn fool just like their men act, they look for ways to disrespect their men. And they will run men off, and they will wind up single moms. Keep that in mind, gentlemen. They'll leave their husbands because they just want to. They want to be for the streets. Now, they're not that big on jacketing men, as they call it in Jamaica, not yet. Somali women are not known for that. But as as the diaspora spends more time outside of the homeland, they'll start talking about how to do that and get away with it too. You already have some of them that don't even like men. What are they willing to do? They're couples, that kind of couple. Yeah, the women. And what they'll do is they say, well, we'll approach some guy and just tell him that, ask him to marry both of us, but just let us stay together. He'll be like, yeah, okay, great. And then, now we have the perfect cover for us to live together. And the whole time, they're really doing that so they can be together with each other, not with the husband. I just wonder what the hell they think's going to happen when the husband realizes that they don't want him. So wait a minute, I got two wives and neither of them, and they're cool with each other, but neither of them wants me? Oh, hell no. And to them, it's a big ass joke. Yeah. 2017, I remember reading about it. And I believe it because it was written from a first person perspective. It was one of the two women confessing to this. She did it anonymously. What does this tell you? Most Somali women wouldn't do anything like that, even in the diaspora now. They wouldn't. But the fact is that just telling the story, even anonymously, this chick felt comfortable. I'm telling you, they got dysfunction going on under the current like others do, like other communities do. They're not better or worse than other communities in general. And they'll tell you. But what I'm saying is that Roda Osman what she did was even, it was beyond the pale for even um, the ratchets that come from the same community as her. But then again, most of the community doesn't know who she is. But I don't want us to make the mistake that Mr. Sperling seems to be making. He's trying to do the honorable thing by carrying on what Kevin Samuels tried to save, which is black couples, but they won't allow it. The system will not. We have to accept that. And one of the ways you can tell is that, unlike Roda, a lot of sisters of various nationalities now are ready to drop all their standards for a Mzungu. And that's one thing we are seeing consistently all the time. All the time we are seeing this. That they're willing to drop their standards. So in Nairobi, where the men have to have their own manosphere because of how they're ill-treated, a Mzungu can go backtracking with $50 in his pocket and rack up high body counts. Just like in South Carolina. Y'all know about DJ Kid. I'll never forget that story. That opened my eyes up. I said, this is some BS. How the hell did he rack that number up? No, If that's the case, damn it, that means they made it too easy. They just didn't know anybody was going to find out. And now we got more and more confessions coming about. You even have some let me just put it like this. Um, some parts of Africa where you would not expect this, white men can get married more easily, and they can also just get the draws more easily. And I'm not okay with that. But it's up to the women. I just want the women to be honest about it and say, we don't see black men as equals. And that would lead them to have to be honest and say, well, it's not the men's fault. We just have an inferiority complex. And that's why I look at sisters with the side eye. That's the reason. I hit the jackpot. I hit the lottery. I got lucky. Most people never would. And when I look at the chances, I realize I would be irresponsible to tell brothers, hold out for the sister, because you could wind up doing that. And while they're sitting up and saying, well, he left me for another man, and he left me for a white woman, and he left me for a Latina, the real fact is that you are the one that have a high. You are the one now with a high chance of the one for whom you held out, if you ever find her, leaving you for another lady or a Mzungu or just anything but a black man. And might even try to get you to part with resources so that she can turn around and funnel them to whoever it is for whom she's trying to leave you. That is the messed up part about it. It was projection the whole time. One by one, their accusations are proven to be confessions. And it is not really even about their nationalities. Trust me when I tell you, and you can see this with the argument going on between FBAs and Jamaicans behind what a Bermudan woman said in the first mother cuss word place. You can see this face to face if you watch it play out. Most of the men do not really care and are not willing to sit up and beef with each other. Most are not. Most of those willing to beef with each other about this are ladies, and trust me, they don't hate each other. They just want you to hate each other. I'm telling you now, the sisters that disrespect Senor Conga and his country don't have a problem with the FBA women. They just want the FBA woman to tell us to have a problem with the men in his country. That's all. They slapping hands and high-fiving each other in the hair salon and at brunch and trading notes. Now, when you look at the fact that this is how they are, warning us men to be caught up in nationality beefs in which the women themselves don't even mother cuss word believe, who else has the same interest? Think about it. Who else also has the same interest in black men having beefs and squabbles with each other all the mother cuss word time? Uh-oh. Now you see more evidence as to what Edward Allen Anderson has been saying and whose interest they're working. I hope that this helps. Thank you for listening. As always, black heart, black mind, black out, assalamu alaikum, and black heterosexual, non-select male power because they don't like it, and black patriarchy until extinction of Judgment Day. Thank you for flying with us again here on Jet Black Air, where the phrase jet black is also a verb. Keep jet black with us till the wings and the wheels fall off. Gender, justice, forever.